about it today because I find it extremely interesting, and I also believe that you will need to be aware of it. Okay, after that, I got my Scrum Master certification, which is this PSM1 where you see there. I'm looking forward to get number 2 soon. And yeah, after I was done with that, I was starting to get more and more enthusiastic about managing or people skills with technology. And I said, you know, why not? Maybe I should continue getting educated into that. And SUSE gave me a great opportunity to finish this IPMA, which is a project management certification. That was also great for me. So now I'm also, let's say, you can say I'm in project management kind of route. And yes, 2 last things is the fact that throughout studying and before I got hired from SUSE, I was a guitar teacher and a session musician. That's the way I got the money to study in the International Hellenic University. And with a little bit of help from my aunt from England, I was able to come here and study, but it was not so much money, so it was easy. And last but not least, I'm also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor in Nuremberg. And yeah, we don't need to talk much about it. Just if you meet me, ask for help if you need any help. Okay, let's go next. Okay, so I finished the master degree. As we said, my friend Panos says, hey, come to Nuremberg, work at SUSE. We need quality assurance engineers. Okay, you know, what's that? All of you have to sit down. You have to search a lot. You have to prepare and do the best you can do to be able to start interviewing, start your CV and all this stuff. I'm pretty sure the university here is helping you with stuff like this, but this is really important. And of course, when you prepare, they hire you, right? If you're good and you're well prepared, and then starts the new terminologies that you think you know everything, because right, you have a master degree, I know everything, right? Maybe not, it's not like the doctorate, but you think you know a lot of stuff, and then you start and you almost don't know anything of the terminologies they use in the business department, let's say. So there was stuff like HR, Orestis, you need to talk with HR, and they're going to assign you a mentor, and the director of your department is Mr. You know, whatever, and you have to do 3 months of onboarding, and you're going to work on automation. That was, you know, what's going on, you know, a lot of Google search. But this is why I'm here to help you a bit with that. So let's discuss a bit about some departments that you can meet in big IT companies. Okay, SUSE is an open source solutions company. They make open source products. Let's say if you're not aware of Linux, it's something like Windows, like an operating system, okay? And we make our own operating system, which is called /. And yes, if you get hired to work for such a company, you will be amazed by how many departments they have. Okay, you think that, okay, I finished the master degree and I know how to write some code. I'm going to be me and another 100 people who develop. That's not true. So let's start with some, how to say, some not weird ones, some that maybe you don't have in your mind. And we'll try to make it easy for you. Let's see. The first one, look at this. Okay, finance department, super easy. A big company needs a finance department. They are talking about money, taxes, who is paying who. Just having your mind that there is a finance department that will take care of you, your taxes, your, you know, the money, your wage, all of this. That's easy. Let's go to the next one. Legal. Okay, it's not just people writing code and stuff. Okay, there is also a huge department. Maybe it's 10 people and they have 3 managers, and it's not so easy. It's not like one person doing the legal work. It's a whole department, okay? And you know, a big IT company has different contracts with Bosch, with SAP, with, I don't know, Nike, BMW. It's not joke, right? You cannot do whatever you like, so you need a legal department, okay? And also, of course, for the environment and all this stuff, we need to take care of that, and they need to be sure that they're legal, actually. Yes, HR and facilities. That's one of the most important ones. Okay, HR stands for human resources, and they will be almost like, I don't know, the first immediate department you're going to meet. They are responsible for helping the organization, let's say, have a nice environment between the employees and generally with whatever you might need as an employee there. Okay, look at this now. This is a sub-department of HR. Who would have thought that, for example, there is a diversity department, right? Or, of course, this is normal, recruitment department. These are all departments that have a manager, people working there. It's no joke. It's not just, again, it's not just programmers or developers. Okay. Talent and performance, you see, the company tries to see your talents, tries to see your performance, assess your performance, make you better, get new people hired, look for new people. All these are departments. Let's go a bit farther away. Yeah, now we're heading towards our, let's say, part now. Slowly, we're heading into the technical part. Products and innovation, for example, okay. They might have a communication and marketing, of course, department. Many people working there. Events, right? The big company has a lot of events. They made a lot of events. Okay, not the previous years with COVID, but before that, I was in Prague and meeting with all my colleagues, and I was all over the place meeting people. And this is not something simple. Okay, it's not simple. They need people to organize that. And also they have big events. For example, in SUSE, we have the Open SUSE conference. It's like, I don't know, 4 days, 3 days. And it's a big conference that we do in Nuremberg. And there's a lot of people coming and you need someone to organize that. Yes, and now, of course, it's about time that we talk about the department that has to do with the products that the company makes, right? So in SUSE, for example, to make it easy for you, as we discussed before, one of the business products is SLES, the one I said that looks like, let's say, Microsoft Windows, just to make it easy, and I don't want to make this whole talk heavy. So this is one of the products, and of course, companies have many products, right? Nike has, I don't know, who knows, maybe 1 million products, okay? And example, product X, product Y, etc. Each product has its own product manager, its own project manager, its own development team. It's getting huge, okay? So you need to kind of be aware that you are getting, you're not anymore you and your schoolmates, in the university, like 20 people, you and maybe 1,000 people, or maybe more. Siemens have like 500,000 people, okay? So just be ready for that. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, important departments that, let's say, technical people needs to know, people that have to do with people who probably graduate from these different departments we have here in NOIZ University should be taken care of. Software development, that's super easy, right? The software development department is a department where we have people there, look, that they design, develop software, and do basically what we were trained to do in our master degree, especially in the information communication degree. That's really easy. Then we have technical support, okay? This sounds like, it's not the people that they call you and they try to sell you stuff, or you call and whatever. It's a super technical department that when there is problems with our partners or our clients, this department solves the issues, okay? So you can see that they provide technical support for customers experiencing software problems, okay? Quality assurance and testing, okay, that's the one I started, okay? When a company wants to release a product, they always test it, okay? They don't just go and release it, they always test it. And in software, there's a lot of testing. We're trying to see if there are bugs, if the new features work, and all this stuff. So this is why you say quality assurance engineer. And yes, as I said before, when my friend said, come to SUSE to work as a quality assurance engineer, I had no idea what he meant. Okay, but for you now, maybe you have a small idea what's going on. Let's go to the next departments. I'm not going to talk too much more about departments. That's a new one, not a new one, that's a good one because really that's special. I had to learn it the hard way. Infrastructure maintenance team. So let's say me, as a quality assurance engineer, I need to test the new release of our product, right? And it's a software product. And I need to test it in, I don't know, 20 virtual machines, for example. Where am I going to create these 20 virtual machines? In my laptop at home, in my Windows? No. The company needs to provide me with hardware to be able to start testing stuff. So the infrastructure team is the team that takes care of the hardware that we, the employees, work to be able to deliver the product. This is a really important job. Okay, maybe one day, there's no, let's say, internet at the office. You have to call them. Okay, really important. They're really important. Next, security team. Okay, as I see, you also have a master degree in cybersecurity. This is where these people will go and work, right? They're focused on the security of the product, especially if it's software. You need to be really secure. There's a lot of stuff going on lately. And of course, as you see, they also need to follow standards. It's like normal products. Let's say, for example, you release a car, it needs to be secure, right? And it needs to follow some standard templates of security, let's say. That's the same happening in software, and they take care of that. And the last ones, these are the last departments we're going to discuss because they are making a good transition to the topic that we're going to discuss next. And yeah, project management department. That's maybe easy. Of course, you know what's a project manager, and project management department is a department that has many project managers because a big company has many projects. They have many products, but they have even more projects because every product might have many projects below it. Okay, that's how it goes. So this is also the reason why there is product management department. Okay, product management department. So the product management department, let's say Adidas has a shoe that it's a basketball shoe and it's number, I don't know, 2000. That's one product, and they have maybe 5 projects that are working on this. One project is working on the soles of the shoe. One project is working on something else. Okay. And let's make it a bit more specific again about software. It's really specific. Release management team. That's crazy. I also had to learn it the hard way. Usually the software companies that release software, they have different releases, right? We say, I don't know, Orestis, Nalmpantis version 1, Orestis, Nalmpantis 1.13, version 4. All these releases needs to happen in a specific way, in a specific time, and they need to include specific fixes, new features. If they don't include something new, what's the point of having a new release, right? You just stay version 1, and if no one works in getting the software better or fixing it, just stay in version 1. But if there are bugs and fixes and new features, you go to version 1.1, and you just don't go when you decide yourself or when the developer decides. There's a specific department that decides for it. So why I show you all this? Okay, I've maybe you know because I've made an introduction why, but let's see. I believe it's good to know about all this stuff so that you have a general idea how huge the IT industry is. Okay, you saw I've just talked about, I don't know, maybe 10% of the departments that you can find. Okay, there are so many departments, and I had to delete a lot of slides to be able to not bore you with stuff like this, but I just wanted to put the most important and maybe some weird ones, okay? In a good way, weird. I also show you this so that be ready that you are going to see stuff that you never maybe saw before or heard before, and don't get crazy about it. And also don't think that the rest of the employees know more than you. Okay, maybe if they say, hey, you have to call the diversity department because the thing that happened was not correct and you have to talk with them, don't be super weirded out because it's something that you didn't know. Many people also don't know all these departments, and of course, through the years, you learn more about them. Okay, that's really important. Okay, that's really important. If you're good about something, and especially in software, maybe you're good, I don't know, maybe you like to document stuff. Generally, if you're good about something in software, as you can see, there's probably a job for you. Okay, as we discussed also in the beginning, as Mr. Berberidis said, you can see that we have many different master degrees here, and most of the people that finish the master degree get hired. Okay, so you will be able to do something, even if it's really specialized, you will find something to do. For example, this Scrum Master thing that I am doing, I think it's a bit specialized. Okay, so I'm able to do it and earn a living and be fine. We will discuss about it later. Yes, and also that's very important. When you are started working in an IT company or a big IT company, the more positions you are aware, the easier it will be for you to be able to adapt and evolve, or get new promotion. Okay, you can start as a quality assurance engineer and then say, it's okay, but I don't like it so much. Maybe I will be an automation engineer, or maybe I'll be a project manager. Okay, so all these departments I show you, if you work in a company, you can jump, even if they have nothing to do with what you studied. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you are good in documentation, and it turns out you are writing the documentation for the product and you're not writing code. Okay, so be ready for that. Okay, so that's my favorite. Some problems you might stumble upon when you finish from the university, you take your luggage and you go to your first day at work. Okay, you may find problems with onboarding or mentoring. Okay, or maybe even worse, you may find not onboarding or no mentoring. Okay, just imagine being hired, you're just a student, you finish your master degree and you're getting hired by, let's say again, Siemens, for example. It's a huge company, they have their own tools, specific tools that they use, no one have access to them, and you go there and they don't have a mentoring or onboarding system. Okay, that will be a huge problem. Thank God, usually there is an onboarding or a mentoring system. That means that they get you by the hand, like we say in Greece, they sit you down and they are patient with you. So this is also good to know. Don't get stressed in the beginning and think that you have to prove yourself. No one waits, no one expects you that in 6 months you're going to be the new, rock star employee. Okay, they know that you will need some time to be able to understand how a company works. Okay, so just keep in mind that if you have problems with onboarding or mentoring, try to ask around, ask other employees, make friendships with your employees, ask them. And of course, what happened to me was I didn't have big problems with mentoring or onboarding, but I had great ideas on how to make it better. So if you can make it better and you feel that it's easy for you, maybe make it better for the next person who gets there. Okay. Yes, classic problems with documentation, especially me. I work in a Linux company, and as a good friend says, who's a really good Linux engineer, no one knows enough Linux, okay? No one knows enough Linux, and that's true. There's always someone who knows, not more, who knows different stuff than you, okay? And there are many times you will see the classic, which I hated, that someone, just because he can do something, he thinks that everyone can do or should be able to do. That's the worst, okay? Just because there is an engineer who works for 10 years and he can do great stuff with Linux or whatever else with the technology, he expects you that you also should be able to do them, even though you just started. Okay, so this is why I like so much documentation. Again, if you start and if you see that some stuff needs to be documented, document them, okay? And if there is no documentation about important stuff, talk about it and document them, because it will make the life of everyone easier, okay? Yes, this is another classic problem with communication, okay? Maybe in my team there are people from China, there are people from US. It's not so easy. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and it's really late for them and they are tired and you're fresh. Just keep this in your mind, okay? It's maybe you also have it here in the university. Just keep it in your mind. It's not a big deal. Keep in your mind that there are different time zones and you're going to work with people all over the world, okay? Cultural differences, okay, that's another classic for me because I'm Greek and sometimes you can you can say some stuff that other people cannot relate. And of course, this happens with other people too, from other countries and other cultures. Just try to be minimal, let's say. And if you think that maybe something that I will say, maybe it offended other people because they are from somewhere else, just have it in your mind that you will see stuff like that. Okay, you will see stuff like that. It's not, again, it's not like you are in the university in the ATE or here in the, I don't know, the universities in Greece that we are all, you know, from the same country and we can say the same jokes and everything. Now, suddenly, you are somewhere else with many people. And this is also a good lesson that you will learn in the International Hellenic University. And that's my favorite, of course, it's the USO problem. I just wanted to mention it because it was so fun. So as I said, I'm Greek. And when I finished my master degree and I did the interviews and got hired by SUSE, it was crazy. You know, I said, oh, finally, I'm one of those people who have a job, you know, outside from Greece, and they will have that money outside from Greece, you know, these great wages. And it was fantastic. I was super happy. And when you get hired and you go first time in the office, of course, what you do, you bring a NOIZ to your director, right? As a Greek, you have to do that. And who would have thought that this would be a small problem? It was not a problem, but it's interesting to mention. So I go there, I see my director. Of course, they are super kind and they are really excited to see you. And I'm also 10 times more kind and excited to see them. So I bring my user and I say, hey, listen, thank you for the opportunity. This is just a small gift, an expensive uso or something else, probably. I think it was an uso. This is for you. And he says, the first thing he says is, Orestis, thank you very much. I appreciate it, but I cannot accept it. And I was like, oh, what's going on now? That's weird. And look, for example, what he said makes total sense. He says, I cannot accept it because it might feel like it's a bribing thing. Okay, you're just starting, you have a probation period, okay, like many of us, many of you actually, you have a probation period of 6 months where they're trying you. And even, you know, a NOIZ for us is nothing, you just give it, doesn't matter. To Mr. Georges, I gave, I don't know how many times quits, it's nothing for us. But for him and for in a professional environment, you have to be careful even for that. Okay, it was not a big deal. And he said, I cannot accept it as a personal gift. I can open it, let's say, in a meeting that we have many people together. And it's just an interesting thing to mention. So be careful of all that. Let me go on and give you my general tips. That's we're almost at the end of the first part of the talk, where it's a bit of my backstory and what maybe you will see also in the near future. We're about to get hired. And maybe we will do a small break because I want this talk to be light. And then we will go on what I do, which is the Scrum thing. And I'm a Scrum Master. And I think it will be interesting for you, I hope. So let me finish with some general tips, okay? And my advice. Okay, so this was important for me. You have to understand, after you start working, just my advice is start with anything, okay? If you are able to get hired and in a big company and with a good wage and with all the things that and the benefits that you want, just start from somewhere, okay? Start from somewhere. I started from quality assurance engineer. I didn't know what it was. I had to learn more, okay? It's easy to learn more. And after you've studied, of course, and stuff, you can easily learn more stuff. And yes, I started as a quality assurance engineer. And as I talked to you about it before, there's so much stuff to see and so much departments that maybe something else is interesting to you. So for me, after I got used to my work, I started to feel that my talent, let's say, my natural talent is more towards organizing stuff, organizing people, organizing projects, helping people, helping teams. So that's a bit different than just writing code, right? So keeping your mind and be open-minded to be able to understand what you like more. You like organizational stuff, you like technical roles. Of course, there are other types of roles, but keep your mind open. You will need some years to learn what you need, and this always changes, but keep your mind open. Okay, the golden standard, when I ask my friends, what's the advice you want me to include here, my colleagues and the people who work together, they all say this, okay, learn and use a version control software, GitHub, GitLab, this stuff. It's, okay, I'll be honest, it's boring. It was really boring for me, and I still don't like it so much, but it's extremely important. All the companies, the software companies use it. Please learn how to use it. You will do a dissertation here. It's the perfect time when you're writing code for your dissertation. Just start uploading it to your version control software, okay? And learn how to do it. Just upload anything you do on coding, upload it there, and learn how to use it, because you're going to use it a lot, okay? Next. Yeah, that's the best one. That goes directly after the comment I made before. When you will start to work, you will make, let's say, a pull request, which is a change in the code. You will improve it, right? You sit down and improve the code and make it better and faster and everything, and you're happy. You're a newcomer, right? You just did something really important, right? And then a superior person, or maybe an equal person even, you know what I mean? Another junior employee has to review this, because you don't just write code and it's okay, it's done. You have reviewers, okay? And he can review it, or she can review it, and they can provide pretty bad comments about it, okay? Again, IHU is really good in learning you the soft skills. I learned a lot from IHU, okay? I learned how to speak professionally and how to act professionally. Maybe there are people who are not lucky enough to be in this university, okay? And maybe they don't have the tact, as we say in Greece, to talk to you in a polite way. You have to remain calm, okay? If they say, this, what you did here is complete, you know what I want to say? Remain calm. You will see a lot of this happening, okay? Remain calm and maybe influence them, or you can even talk to them to influence them to get better in this aspect, okay? But remain calm, don't get crazy. That's also really important. Take a close look to your contract and your benefits. Usually when you go to work to a nice company, let's say, they have really extended contracts and some extra benefits. So read the contract and understand the benefits. I went to the US now, like a month ago, and we were looking with my wife to just see what's the best insurance we can get in the US. Yes, this is something I got from Germany, right? You get insurance all the time. No, it's not a Greek thing. And we got one. We had to pay some money to get one, only to come back and see that in my contract there was already an American, a US insurance. Who would expect that, right? Even me, I didn't expect that. And also, if you ever start to look for another job, see and check again your contract, because if you sit down when you are, you're thinking, okay, I'm taking, example, 10,000 euros per year gross, as Mr. Georgi said. I didn't know what was gross, but now I know. You take 10,000 euro gross, and the new job offers you 15,000 gross, and you say, yes, it's a 5,000 increase, I have to go. No, check your contract, because it's the bonus, extra insurance, this and that and that and that, and you have to add all of this, okay, when you are thinking of doing a transition. And also, it's good to know to, how to say this, to not to respect, but to understand how also lucky you are to be in such a position, right, in such a company. Okay, sometimes they offer you great benefits. So read your contract and be aware of the benefits. Another important thing is to learn, as we said before, please try to learn how to give and receive feedback. This is a standard discussion. I'm pretty sure people in project management and all this know how important feedback is. Just go online and search how to give feedback or how to receive feedback. I know it sounds common knowledge, this common knowledge thing where you say, I'm a good person, I have many friends, I know how to give feedback. I know people think like this because I think it's normal to think like this. When you start working, it's you need more than that. Okay, for example, me in the project management or in the Scrum Master territory, I need to be more aware of how to give feedback. Okay, and you know, you read these lines and they say, be polite, ask to give feedback, and you say, come on, that's common knowledge, I know this. It's not. You need to have it in your mind and follow the guidelines and learn how to give and receive feedback. I suggest you check a bit more this one. Okay, it's a bit special. Also classic, we're discussing this a lot in SUSE, you need to have a growth mindset. Okay, you start, and you're a junior, and what I see from my experience is that many times I felt like I know everything now. Finally, it's the time I know everything, and this never happens 100%. Okay, this is what we call a growth mindset. You can get better and better and better. So just be calm and just learn and just get better. And that's it, easy. And that's also super special from me. That's an example I can use that I've learned from SUSE. Many times, maybe you think you have the correct solution, right? There might be a problem, and you say, there's no way, that's the correct solution. It's obvious to everyone. That's the solution, we're gonna do it. That's it. How come no one understands that this is the solution? Sometimes the correct solution is not the best solution. Again, as we discussed before, there are many different aspects in the companies, okay? Maybe your solution demands, I don't know, 300 working hours from other people. Yes, it's correct, but it's not the best, right? So you need to be able to adapt, and you need to have this in your mind, and don't get pissed off if you think you have the best solution, but your manager decide that you need to, we cannot do that. Okay, yes, maybe you cannot do that because it's too expensive to do the correct solution. And you need to be able to understand this and not really fight back when people say that your solution maybe is not the best. Okay. Yes, we can have a 10-minute break. We can have a 10-minute break.
Thank you, Orestis. I suggest instead of a break,
yes,
we could perhaps have a short Q&A session.
No problem.
On the soft skills that you have acquired, because then I appreciate it gets more technical.
No problem.
So if anyone of the attendants wants to ask Orestis anything, please switch your mic on and present yourself and ask any questions.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty easy talk. No break.
Are there any questions?
That's good. That means they understood everything. Huh? Let's continue.
Can ask this if you would rather have a break.
You can ask. You can ask the team. 10-minute break, or we continue and we end a bit earlier.
Please raise your hands, your e-hands, if you want a break.
That's a great hall here with all the system. Super advanced.
How many?
So Alexandros wants a break. I want a break too. Thank you. Okay, so let's not have a break. It's already 8 o'clock. Sorry, it's already 7 o'clock. And let me just proceed with the second part and just get a bit of water and we will do it. It should be easy for you, and you're used to more advanced stuff being lectured to you. And I did my best to have this, let's say, in a really light kind of way. We can, yeah. But go. Yes, a bit more. A bit more. Okay, here in the Scrum one. Let me fix it. Okay. Okay, so we finished with the first part, which is a bit of my story. If you can relate with my story and my story is similar to your story, you can get the advice, and you can get all that I wanted to present it to you, and trying to think about it. Okay, now I want to talk to you about something that I find really interesting, and it's something that I stumbled upon after I start working in SUSE. It's pretty, let's say, famous and hot, and I hope you like it, but I'm going to present it. This is what I do now, apart from being a quality assurance engineer, and it's called Scrum. But don't rush. I'm going to try to explain it the easiest way for you, okay? Because it's complicated, it needs time, it needs certification. So I have, I don't know, 40 minutes, and I'm trying to just make you aware of it. So Scrum is, let's say, a way to organize software project management, something like that. Let's start like this, okay? In order to understand Scrum, you need to understand the traditional management, okay? Again, it's not a lecture here about this, it's just a presentation to understand Scrum. So we have, what we had for many years was the traditional management way of organizing products or whatever, you know, software or everything. And it's being called the waterfall method. I guess you are pretty aware of that because, for example, when I was studying here, if someone asked me, hey, Orestis, how do you think Adidas releases a shoe? I would have said, oh, okay, someone designs it and someone decides what they will do, and then they design it, and then they test it, and then they release it. This is kind of the waterfall method. Of course, a bit more special. Let's see what goes on. First, we plan how we will release a product. We sit down, we see how many people will work, from what is the deadline, how much its phase will take. We plan, okay. And let's say this takes 4 months, example. It takes 4 months, we're done with planning, we put the stamp, next phase, build. We start to build the product, right? We start to build the Adidas shoe. Sorry to use standard companies, but it's just the first comment that comes to my mind. We start to build the shoe, build, you know, people build the soles, people do the shoe, people do the colors, we build it, we're done. Another 5 months, 4 months, and then another 5 months. Done, that phase is done. Okay, next phase is testing. The testers test it, they start to run, they start to jump. 2 months, done. The shoe is perfect. Then we review the whole thing, right? We review the whole thing. What happened? Did we exceeded our budget? Is the shoe at the end of the day okay, or it's not so good? So maybe we lower the price a bit. Just understand, I'm talking about the shoe so that it makes it simple for you. Okay, this also happens for software. Everything that I say, you can relate it to software, okay? Because I know there are also people that maybe are not aware of software so much. And then deploy means release. Okay, we deploy it, we release it, that's it, success. The product was successful, done. That's a golden standard, okay? That's not joke, that happens for years and it happens until today, okay? It's a really important thing. The waterfall method, the traditional method, will live on forever and ever. But as the years go by, there are more and more new ways to release products and organize projects. Okay. So let me give you an even further, let's say, explanation of a kind of a waterfall project. Okay. As you can see, this project, I did this project for the project management certification. I finished last year. And I will just show you a bit of the documents or the processes a project manager follows, okay? Just, of course, some people might be aware of that. And again, the same things that I will show you now that has to do about organizing the opening day ceremony for our new offices is almost the same as it will go for software, okay? So the project I did, we were opening some new offices in Nuremberg. And the project was to organize the opening day, right? We have a ceremony. It's about time we organize the opening date. It's not so simple again. So many departments, so many people. So let's see some stuff that I had to do. Of course, this is fictional. I didn't organize it. It was part of the certification. So this is the objectives of the project. You can just see at the very top that the base objective of the project is to successfully finish the opening day. Yeah, big deal. Yes, no joke. Of course, that's the one that we need to do. Just take a look at the second small table. It says that it's called scope objectives. And let's look at the first example. Okay, another objective, it's not just let's do the opening day ceremony and that's it. It's not just that. It's more complicated than that. Okay, we need to have at least one local politician present in the opening day ceremony. Why? Just to earn a bit of, of publicity or press or whatever. Okay, and this is a could have category. So we could have it. It's not a must have. It's not a 100%, no matter what happens, we should have this. It's a could have category. This is all stuff that the project manager does to any project that works, okay, that he is working on or she is working on. Let's see, the second one, for example, is really important. We need at least 50% participation from representatives of our top customers, right? For example, SUSE has many customers from SAP, from BMW. We open our new offices, they are the big offices, the main offices. There needs to be one person from BMW, for example, there to talk with us, talk with people and all that. This is a should have, okay? It's just a way to express it. And let's say, for example, the last one, I'm not going to analyze all of them. The third one is participation of senior management. We need 100% to have someone from senior management there. We need to have the CEO, the CTO, someone, doesn't matter, he needs or she needs to be there. Okay, so you can see this is what we call management, right? You start to organize stuff. From a simple idea, you just go into writing things down and make them more organized. Okay. This is also important. What are the acceptance criteria so that the project is successful? Okay. How do we know the project was successful? Just because it happened? No. Look, for example, let me find the easiest one. This is, of course, a snippet of the whole table. Okay. Let's see the second one. Okay. Employee satisfaction, the employees, okay, me and my friend Panos and my friend George, we went there. We need to be also satisfied because we open new offices, we need to go there and work there. We need also to be satisfied. And usually what happens in such occasions is they do a survey after the opening ceremony, for example. And look, the description is, in order to be considered successful, check the second column, 70% of employees should give a higher rating than 7. Okay, so we should get, let's say, an average above 7. That means that most of the employees were happy with this ceremony. And yes, the rest, it's pretty easy. You can see that in the measurability, we will use the survey software and the date is to be defined. We just wait for, it's not standard when the opening ceremony will happen. Don't forget it's project management, okay? It's still not standard. We're still planning, right? And the responsible people to check this, if this specific acceptance criteria is successful, is the Workers' Council. Okay, super easy. Just keep in mind that there is also acceptance criteria. It's not just something that needs to happen and you're done. Okay, that's also extremely important. And you need also to try to remember that when we will discuss Scrum. Okay, stakeholders. This is a pretty standard discussion and the pretty standard term or terminology, right? A stakeholder is a person, an individual or a team or a company that has an interest in the success or the failure of this project. Okay, so in this case, for example, you can see number 5, let's say, the last one, the company employees, right? We need to be happy with if this is successful, we are stakeholders, okay? The person who organizes this project should make sure that the employees are happy, the CEO is happy, the customers are happy, the clients are happy. These people are stakeholders, okay? Also look, the very first one, the politicians are happy, okay? For example, I remember in this project, I put there that we need at least a local politician to visit the opening day ceremony, right? Like we do also do in Greece. We need a local politician to visit as a press, right? To make a good press and a good impression for what we do. Check also the columns. You can see, for example, in the first one, politicians, the concern we have for him or her, the concern we have for the politician is low. Okay, it's probably going to be easy for the politician to be here, and it's not a huge concern for the project manager and the company. For example, if you look the third one, which is the representatives of customers, we have a huge concern for them. We should be aware of them and we should be ready to make them happy. Let's say, of course, this is private stuff, right? No people see this, and this is a fictional example that I did. It's not a real example. It's just an exercise. But the first one, the politicians, okay, they come, they just try to be there, and they go, and we never see them again because we're a software company, for example. But the representative of the customers, high concern for us. Also, I don't know if you can read it, how much, the next column is how much influence or power they have. So look, for example, the first one, we have a low concern for the politician, but he or she has a high power in the success of the project. If the politician comes and speaks great and everything is successful, that's a great extra for the project. It's a great thing that we are looking to achieve. Also, for example, the same on the third one, the representative of the customers, we also have a high concern for them, and they are also highly influential, okay? They are super influential in if the project will succeed or not. And the last column, just to be quick with it and not tire you out, let's see, for example, you can see it says expectations on the very top and fears of the stakeholders. What the stakeholder expects or what he has a fear or she has a fear on, okay? For example, a politician, the fear, me as a project manager has to think or investigate the fear. The fear he might have is not have enough time for his speech, right? Like I also did today, right? So this is the main fear in my taste that the politician might have. So the more, again, we go back to documentation, right? The more you document things, the more you are able to be ahead and fix stuff and not see huge problem later on. Okay, this is stuff that project managers do. Again, don't forget, the same thing happens in software management, but with different terminologies. That's a bit more advanced one, and I just picked it to show you that it's not just written words, and there is a bit of calculations too. And just please see the first example. This is risk analysis. When you do a project, there are always risks, always, okay? So when we are doing an opening ceremony for new offices, what can there be the risks that can happen and destroy the project or postpone the project or whatever? Let's see, number one, the new office, maybe it's not ready. So maybe we arrange, I don't know, 1st of June to have the ceremony, and it's not painted, or there's nothing inside, or stuff like that can happen, right? And you can see that, just see the effect column, forget about the rest. The effect, the fact that the new office is not ready, what's the effect that will have in the company? That the employees and the customer will lose trust to us, right? Imagine just saying the International Hellenic University starts to work on the 1st of June and it's empty and people have paid to start working there, to start studying there. They will lose trust. This is a big problem. Okay, usually it doesn't happen. And here is a bit of calculations. You can see a 3 million one next to it. This is the consequence, okay, in euros. Okay, it's again fictional. It's part of the exercise. If this risk happens, it will be a loss of 3 million. Okay, we have a big problem. Okay, but see the next one. The probability of this to happen is 1%. Okay, when I was sitting down and thinking about it, I was thinking that it's 1% that this goes so long. Okay, and the last column is the risk value, which is 30,000 euros. What does this mean? This is, if you see on the bottom, it's the you multiply the 3 million by 1% and you get 30,000. Okay, this is basically, how to say, fictionally, this is the money or the risk value that you will have to pay, because it's 1% the possibility of this to happen. And there is also another thing which is really important. I think I didn't include it here. There is also, how to say this? There is also a table where you can do that. You can take specific measurements to eliminate the risks. So maybe you have a way to eliminate this risk, and that you just pay, I don't know, 1,000 euros and you eliminate it at all. This is stuff that project manager people do. Okay, I found it super interesting. Okay, super interesting. But let's go next. This is all part of a basic overview of the waterfall method and a good introduction to what is Scrum. Okay, and this is just the software that the project manager use. I don't know if it's super clear for you. On the left, you can see some days, right? You can see all the different phases of the project. You see planning phase, collecting ideas, all this, and how many days you need for that. And then on the right, you have a graph that helps you and other people to understand the different phases of the project. Okay, so that's, let's say, let me get some water first. That's an overall view of the traditional way projects are being organized. And it's huge and it's really interesting and I really like it, but I also like this, Scrum, okay, which is another way to organize projects. Okay, and let me give you my introduction to Scrum because, I don't know, I've never heard it before and I've heard it at least a year or 2 years after I got hired. I was sitting and discussing with my friend George. George is also hired by SUSE back then, and we're best friends and we from young kids, and we were talking, and he saw me how I was working, and of course, just because the fact we're friends from all times, he had the impression that I'm the classic crazy guy I was always, and then he saw me how I start to work, and he was like, man, you know what? I never thought about it, but you will be a great Scrum Master. I was like, what's that? You know, what are you talking about? What's Scrum? And Scrum Master? That sounds so weird. Is it like something weird? I don't know, a weird name that goes on online or on Reddit? I have no idea what's that. And yeah, turns out it's a job. It's a real job. It's a high demanding job. And I started to do my own research, as we discussed, do your own research, right, a lot of times. And the first thing that I saw when I was searching for what is a Scrum Master, of course, I knew a bit, I had an impression of the waterfall and the traditional method we discussed before, right? I had it in my mind that this makes sense. Probably something like this happens in companies release products. I was a bit aware of that, but I was never aware of what is Scrum. So I start searching. Okay, Orestis goes to the computer, start searching. Let's see. The first thing that I see is servant leadership. Wow, sounds great. You know, when you read this, I also read that Scrum Master is a type of a project manager, something like that. And I always thought, you know, project manager is to maybe can be, which is nice, can be a bit of dictating. You're telling people, not in a bad way, you're telling people what to do, and you have a lot of responsibility, right? And generally, either other management positions. But Scrum Master is not this type of person. Scrum Master is a servant leader. And especially when you like heavy metal and rock and all this stuff where everyone is talking about political stuff and they're fighting to help everyone and all this, This was really interesting to me. So, what is a servant leader? Okay, super important for Scrum, especially in software manager. A servant leader in software management is a person that focuses on collaboration and ethical use of his or her power. Okay, you just not go and say, hey, Orestis, just go and do this thing. Okay, there is a ethical use of power. Keep in mind, this is me reading this for the first time online. Okay, I'm trying to replicate to you what I was reading then. So I was saying ethical use of power +1. Okay, that looks nice. Wow. Okay, number 2, a servant leader guides the team towards self-organization. 2 thumbs up. Okay, so the goal of a servant leader is to teach or mentor or coach the team to organize themselves. You're not there to dictate what they do. You are there to make them better so that they work better on their own. Super, perfect. Perfect. And the servant leader encourages the team members to contribute in decision making. It's not always that there are people above you that give you rules, give you the decision, that make the decision making, but also the team is part of the decision making. Okay, this whole stuff looks really interesting to me when I was reading that. Next, terminology, because don't forget, part of the title of this talk is terminologies, right? So the first terminology we speak about was servant leadership. The second one is agile. That's the second thing you will see if you look for Scrum. Agile, what's that? No idea. Okay, let's see what's agile. So agile is a software development methodology that focuses on the people doing their work and how they do their work. And pay attention to the bold text. Agile is emerged, as I say, as a response to the limitations of the traditional project management, the waterfall method that we were discussing before. This method, again, the waterfall method, the one we were discussing with the different tables and stuff, and of course it has much more tables and it's much more complicated, is great, but it has some limitations, especially in software making and in software development. So Agile is a software development methodology, right? Maybe we say, okay, in this software that we are developing now, we are not going to use Waterfall, we're going to use Agile. Okay, I hope it's clear for you. Let's continue. And it's crazy how it got discovered. Some, let's say, software development thought leaders in the 90s went in a ski resort in Utah and they had a huge discussion and a huge meeting, and they concluded into many important, let's say, fundamental principles and tactics to be able to make software in a better way, or let's say in a different way. I think a bit better, but it's okay. Again, it's up to anyone to figure this out. Also, pay attention on the bold stuff. Okay, again, the result of this discussion, of this big meeting, was the Agile Manifesto. Okay, so when you read about Agile, behind this, it's the Agile Manifesto. It's like a book. It's not a book. It's a page. It says 4 sentences. And these are the pillars of Agile. If you follow them, you are being agile, let's say, in a way. Okay, it's a document that outlines the key principle for a better approach to software development. Let's see. What is stated in the Agile Manifesto? And this is indeed what it states, 4 lines. It's really easy. Agile prioritizes individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So, if you're a Scrum Master, you need to have this always in your mind. The Agile Manifesto should be always in your mind. Okay. Agile prioritizes individuals and people and interaction between people above, let's say, processes and tools. They both are important, but it's more important the people and their collaboration. Okay. Second, Agile values working software over comprehensive documentation. Pretty self-explanatory. Agile emphasizes customer collaboration over contract negotiation. It's more important to collaborate with the customer and figure something out that we're all happy than sit down and writing contracts all day and stuff like that. This is just a pretty easy explanation. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind this, but I'm trying to make it simple for you. That's the most important for this meeting, at least, so that you understand what's Agile and Scrum. Agile promotes responding to change over following a rigid plan. Let's see, next. Yes, keep it in your mind, we will explain this later. And there are also some principles behind the Agile Manifesto. But for now, I think you don't need to see them now. You will be able to search them on your own if you're getting interested about Agile more. So let's see again the waterfall method. Again, as you can see, it's these different phases. In Agile, as we discussed, every phase is important and the team can talk in all the phases. I will go now into more details about Scrum and you will see this, how it works. What is Scrum then? At the end of the day, what is Scrum? We discussed about servant leadership, what is Agile, and what is the Agile Manifesto. What is Scrum then? Scrum is an Agile methodology. There are many Agile methodologies. The most famous is Scrum. There is LESS, XP, Kanban. These are all different methodologies to do Scrum, to do Agile, to release a product. Okay, there are all different ways to organize the release of a product. And Scrum is the most famous one. Okay, so the Agile Manifesto lays the foundational principles. An Agile methodology align these principles with various frameworks and practices. You see where we're going? We started with some principles and now we start to make a method out of them, an Agile methodology. We start to make it more standardized. We will start to have specific positions, specific meetings. It starts to get more organized, right? And Scrum, as we said, is one specific Agile methodology out of the many that are out there that provides a structured approach to building and delivering a product. So instead of doing waterfall method, we are doing Scrum, for example. And there are specific people, the specific positions like product owner, Scrum Master and all this, and there's specific meetings and everything, which we're going to discuss now. Let's go next. Again, please check this, the waterfall method. First plan, 4 months. Done, next. Build, another 4 months. Done, next. This is why it's called the waterfall, right? This is Scrum. You can see every, let's say, column happens at the same time. The plan and the build and the test and the review happens for 2 to 4 weeks. Then we go to the next, plan, build, test, review. Then we go to the next, plan, build, test, review. These happen at the same time. They don't happen like here. We don't wait 4 months for the plan to finish. We do them kind of all together in, of course, smaller increments, right? You can have a look at this. This is an example. Let's say you can see the person on the left is picturing the product ready. He's picturing the painting ready, and he starts to paint the top half, but the top half is not usable, right? It's not a painting, it's just a head. It's not usable. Then he paints some more, still not usable. Then at the end, ready, finished, done, and usable at the third step, right? And this is, let's say, the Agile way. The person is thinking about an idea of a product. This is a woman in, I cannot exactly read, but he thinks that he wants or she wants to paint a woman. He starts with a sketch, you see? You can see the sketch and understand that it's a woman, right? And that it's a painting, right? And then he goes to the second step where he adds a bit of color and it formats it a bit. Still looks like a product, right? Not like here. First one is not exactly a product. Here is kind of ready, the idea. Okay. And in the third step, the product is done. So that's also what got me excited into Scrum. For now, we're talking about the process a bit, but it's really important. Scrum has some values. The people who work in a Scrum team should follow these values here. You see at them and you say, yes, these are common knowledge, everyone does this, I studied and I'm smart and I'm a nice person and all this. Of course you are, but you need to remember this and you need to have them in your mind a lot of the time when you are in the Scrum team. We're not going to talk a lot about them, but you can see the first one is courage. You need to have the courage to be able to speak and say, I don't think this is a good idea, or this is a great idea, and stuff like that. Okay, you need to be focused on the work that you are doing and on the different phases, because the more focused you are and the more focused your team are, the easier it will be to deliver an increment. You have to be committed in what you decide to do. Okay, you will see later that each person who is in the Scrum team decides with the team together to work on something specific. And you have to be committed to do your best to finish it. Okay, you don't just go and do random work. Okay, you have to have respect for your colleagues, right? And for everyone generally, right? From your director, there needs to be respect. This is back when we discussed about feedback, right? Or the code change reviews and all this. You need to work with respect, okay? And you need to be open enough. You need to be open to learn new ideas, to discuss new ideas. Again, we discussed this in the beginning, have a growth mindset, right? You can see it's all here in Scrum. And this is a standard thing. When you go to study for the Scrum Master certifications, you need to learn this. They're going to test you in this. It's not just blah, blah, you know, you need to learn this. You need to have this in your mind. Okay, just take a last breath and let's go to dive into Scrum, exactly how it works. Okay, thus far we're just explaining it a bit on the rough edge. Let's now explain it specifically. Pay attention to the terminologies, because you will see these terminologies in your everyday life working as a software engineer. Okay, this is why we're doing this talk here. Stakeholders, you remember we talked about them before. Stakeholders are the important people who have an interest in the product. Okay, let's go fast. You can see, for example, here, stakeholders are the buyers, the partners, the government, the users of the product, influencers, whatever, okay? Important people that are happy if you finish the product successfully, and they are really sad if you fail to deliver the project. Easy. Again, yes, remember this. We discussed about this before. You see the politicians, the representatives of the customers. We discussed about it before. These are the stakeholders. Okay, so we have 10 people who are interested in the success of our product. Okay, who is the one who's going to talk with them? Who's the one who's going to manage them, meet with them, hear what they have to say? In Scrum, this person is called the product owner. You can see him in the middle. Okay, this terminology, the product owner, is a standard terminology. It's not something I discovered. It's not a word I like. It's a standard job. You can go in LinkedIn and search for product owner. You'll find a lot of jobs, okay? And it's a standard job position when you're doing Scrum and most of the times Agile. And what does the product owner? Okay, as we discussed before, he is the person who is in close contact with the stakeholders, the customers, and everyone. And he's getting and applying feedback. He gets feedback. Please do this. Please include this new feature in the product. Please fix this product. What you did was great. Please do it again. What you did was wrong. Don't do it again. He's the person who's getting all the feedback from the stakeholders. He's connecting with the customers, as you can see. And the most important thing that will guide us to the next step of this discussion is the one on the bottom. Okay, he's managing and prioritizing the team backlog. It's also called the product backlog. Okay, let's see what's that. That's the main job of the product owner. Product backlog, super important, super important. Product backlog is a list of what is needed to be done to improve the product. Okay, it's a list of tasks, that the Scrum team needs to sit down and work and finish with them, erase them, and go to the next task. Okay, it's the single source of work undertaken by the Scrum team. And again, pay attention to the bold letters, because you will see this in your everyday working life, let's say. It usually, the product backlog, again, is a list that usually contains user stories, super important, and maybe bugs or technical tasks and other stuff, but for now we'll be dedicated into discussing about user stories. And it's not something complicated. This is a user story. Example, I can say, regarding the SUSE example, as a runner, I need to be able to run on the pavement so that my feet don't hurt after 1 hour. This is a user story. This will be an item in the product backlog in this list, and someone from the team will dedicate himself or herself into finishing this item and then picking something else. Let's see an example. Look. You see, this is a product backlog. Look how many there are. The product owner discussed with the stakeholders and he created that backlog. As a user, the first one, as a user, that's just probably an example of a software, right? Or a website. As a user, I'm able to search for documents so I can find them more easily. The product owner believes this is the most important thing. Okay, also, this is how the product backlog goes. The thing on the top, the ticket on the top is the most important one. The second one, the second important, etc., etc. Okay, so for example, the last most important, check the last one. As a user, I can enable spell check so I can be confident my final document has no spelling errors. This is less important than the first one. Okay, and you can see we have story points and priority also. Story points, just to be fast with it, means how difficult it is. Okay, how difficult the team thinks this ticket is. Okay, we're not going to discuss a lot about it. We'll go to the next step. But the truth is, okay, we have the stakeholders. We have the product owner who decides what needs to be done. Who will work on this? Who's working on this? Easy. The development team, right? This is what you people as developers want to do, right? It's a self-organizing team and it's cross-functional. And is the team that is working on the product backlog tickets. Okay, so the development team works on the product backlog tickets. Look, check this. Here's a development team. You see, person on the left working is a database developer, a business analyst, a tester. You see, it's basically a software development team, right? It's a development team. And these people see the product backlog and they have different meetings to see who will do what. Let's go next. You see, again, the product backlog. The first thing the development team will think is, that's too much work. Look at this. This is, I mean, each of these tickets is a lot of work. It's new features, it's fixes, it's everything. When should we do them? How? Who is going to do them? This is being determined on a really important meeting in Scrum. Standard thing, and generally, before the meeting is happened, is the most important thing that you need to remember in Scrum is the sprint. Okay, the sprint. You will see now what sprint. Sprints are the heartbeats of Scrum. The development team decides the tickets and they do them in a sprint. A sprint is a fixed length period of work that it's decided. So let's say you are in a Scrum team and they all gather and they decide that, okay, every sprint will be 4 weeks. Let's go fast and see this. Look this. You see, every column, let's say, the team decided that it will take 4 weeks. So the first one is sprint 1, second, sprint 2, third, sprint 3. And in these 4 weeks, they do what I explained here. They first do a sprint planning. So they say, okay. We see the product backlog product owner. Let's decide which tickets we will work in this sprint, in these 4 weeks. Okay, and look what they do. They go here and they decide, okay, the first 4 ones, we can manage to do them in 4 weeks, in 1 sprint. Okay, we will do them in 1 sprint. We dedicate ourselves to do them in 1 week. You see, this is also how it looks in a software that you will work in a company. Okay, so the team decides that they will do these 4 tickets in 4 weeks, and they start to work on them. They decide in the meeting who will do what, and they start to work on these 4 tickets. And when they're done with these 4 tickets, they will pick other tickets. Of course, the product owner maybe puts new tickets in the product backlog, and they need to discuss what's the priority and all this. And then in the next sprint, they pick again tickets and they work on them. So after they take and they decide which tickets to do, for example, these 4 ones that we discuss here, what happens is they have a sprint backlog. Okay, we call this a sprint backlog, not a product backlog, but a sprint backlog. Sprint backlog is the backlog that includes the tickets that the team only works in the sprint. And what happens is, we're almost finishing now. What happens is the team has a daily meeting every day, okay, every working day. They decide the place and the time, a standard time, let's say every day at 11 o'clock for 15 minutes, and they meet and discuss 3 things. What did the person did yesterday, what he will do or she will do today, and if there is an impediment. So example, yesterday I managed to do the ticket I was assigned to do, but for today I'm going to do the second ticket that I'm assigned to do, but I have an impediment. I'm waiting for a fix to come from the security team. That's a normal daily meeting. And this is what every part of the Scrum team does. When the sprint finishes after the 4 weeks, okay, after the 4 weeks are done, the team is having a sprint review. Okay, usually this takes 4 hours, but many times it's much less. And what happens is it's a meeting that the Scrum team is there and the stakeholders are there. And the Scrum team presents what they did and the product, and the stakeholders give some feedback, let's say, there to the Scrum team, to the product owner, the developers, etc. And after this, the last meeting the team has at the end of the sprint is a sprint retrospective. Basically, this is a meeting for the Scrum team. We discuss what went well, what didn't went well. Maybe you can say, okay, the infra team, like we discussed in the beginning, didn't provide a lot of hardware for us. Next sprint, we should be aware and we should talk to them earlier. Or you can say even more specific stuff, like I would expect that the testing that the testers of our Scrum did should be less time next time. We lost a lot of time. So the team in the sprint retrospective can, as you can see here, try to get better and continuously improve, inspect what went wrong, and be able to adapt and grow as a team and as individuals. It's basically a team meeting where we discuss openly what went wrong, what went well, what we should continue to do, and what not. And that's at the end of the sprint. And yes, I know, right? It's a bit complicated, right? I'm discussing so much. It's so many meetings, new position. It's what goes on. How can the team work and organize all this? Who's going to do that? That's the Scrum Master, okay? That's what I'm doing lately, and that's my main interest. And the Scrum Master is an individual that is the person who knows more about Scrum. Again, there is a book, it's called the Scrum book, and you have to read it and learn it and give the go and pass the certification. It would be nice if the Scrum Master usually has the certification, and he's there to help the team follow the Scrum process, do the meetings in the correct way. Does the team keep the values that we discussed and all this? Let me not talk too much about the Scrum Master. Let me show you, like a checklist, a small checklist of what the Scrum Master does. So, for example, he needs to make, or she needs to make sure that all the events were facilitated as needed or requested. Look, the second one. Did the Scrum Master make sure that the development team and the product owner are aligned? Maybe the product owner says, please do the first item from the product backlog, and the team made a mistake and they start to do the last one. Okay, the Scrum Master should be there to organize the team a bit. You can basically check what the Scrum Master does and you will understand even more. But it's a complicated job. And again, let's say it's his or her responsibility to make sure that the team is organized, that the team follows the Scrum rules, let's say, and that there will be a release at the end. And to go slowly to the end of this lecture, let's say again, the Scrum team is these three different, let's say, positions. It's the development team on the bottom right, the people who actively work on the product. It's the product owner, who is the person who talks with the stakeholders and decides what will be included in the product backlog and in what order. And it's the Scrum Master that he's or she is working on making this whole ecosystem work. Okay. And again, one last review and then we're done. We started with the product backlog that was presented from the product owner. The team did the sprint planning and they decided, okay, from this huge amount of work in the product backlog, we're going to work on the first 4 tickets, for example, for 4 weeks. And they got the sprint backlog from that. The team works on this sprint backlog for 4 weeks and they have daily meetings. This daily Scrum that you see there is daily meetings. And then at the end of the sprint, they have an increment that it's a successful and working software. And after they do that, and they have to go to the sprint review, where it's the meeting where they talk with the stakeholders and they see if the stakeholders are happy and if something needs to change and gets better or stuff to avoid. And then you can see again, the team has on the top a sprint retrospective meeting, which is a meeting that the team has together to see what was good and what was bad and what they should work better. And then again, all this happens all the time. So yeah, thank you for being here. I hope I didn't get you tired. Probably, not probably, this was the reason why I needed a 10-minute break. But I hope you got an understanding what's Agile and what's Scrum. And I hope you got a bit of positivity out of this talk that if you do your best, you'll be able to succeed and just trust yourself and study as much as you can and check stuff around and be adaptable and you will succeed. Anytime you have any question, especially now we can have a bit of QA if there is any questions, but feel free to search my name on LinkedIn or anything. Not on YouTube because there you will see my music career before. Feel free to contact me if you are interested in working in SUSE or if you are interested in learning more or you have any questions or you need any advice, just message me. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Orestis. Let me start my mic. Yes, thank you, Orestis. Thank you very much. That was a very interesting talk. Do we have any questions for Orestis? Is there anybody who wishes to? Yes, Vasiliki, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Vasiliki, can you start your camera so that we can see you? At
Yes,
least to see if you are the Vasiliki we know.
Yes, I am the one.
Oh,
who
yes.
knows.
Hi, Vasiliki. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. It's good to attend this talk today. Thank you for this one. So I would have a question, and it's probably something that Orestis doesn't know from experience yet, but what happens when employees, for example, are used to a different methodology, let's say the waterfall one, and the company decides to follow the Scrum methodology, and you have some kind of resistance to this one.
So,
how do you deal with this one without being too challenging for the rest of the team, let's say?
yeah, that's a great hiring question someone can ask a Scrum Master in an interview, right? So first, that's a really interesting concept, right? Maybe a company for many years work with Waterfall and they start to understand that Agile is interesting. and they want to start transitioning, it's important, the terminology, into Agile. First, this is not an easy thing to do, and it happens, it needs some time, of course, and even if you look for jobs, you can see that they say Scrum Master for Agile transformation. Okay, it's a whole thing, this transformation, and it's not easy. And the first thing, of course, apart from the logistics of it, one standard thing that might occur to you is that, okay, as a Scrum Master, you're getting hired to work in a team that they just started to use Scrum and Agile. And this is a big challenge for a Scrum Master, but if you stick to the values that we discussed, and if you are patient, and if you are calm, and if you stay a bit, if you stay a bit on the back and start to observe, you need to start observing, okay? You need to start observing the different dynamics and the different politics in the team you are about to turn them into Scrum. You will be able to manage to help them change. But part of the Scrum Master job is also to be a coach and a mentor for Scrum, right? Not generally. And you need to be aware and be on point. This is a really difficult part of the job of a Scrum Master. Actually, in the company I'm working now, this kind of happened, okay? It's not like we were using Waterfall and suddenly we decided to use Scrum, but we decided that, okay, it's about time we use Scrum. And I was in the position where I had to start implementing all these meetings, all these positions and all that. And it was difficult and I got resistance, of course, but the best advice, and it's really, it sounds easy, but it's not, is to be patient, understand where the people come from, why they provide this resistance. You have to understand them, okay, they're not crazy. They provide the resistance because they think that this new thing is weird. You have to understand them. You have to be able to communicate a lot with them. You should be able to organize one-on-one meetings with them. As a Scrum Master, you are allowed to make some one-on-one meetings with them, of course, not crazy. And you should communicate with them, and you should have a plan in your mind. What I do is I have many notes. I'm writing a lot of notes. And for example, for each team member, I have my notes, not creepy notes, but I have notes that, okay, I've talked with this person about this, and I should have in my mind to see if he's joining the dailies. This is a personal note to me, okay? And yeah, I believe that if you like Scrum and if you are into also Waterfall methodologies and the project management, you know that this type of social and soft skills are needed. And if you start to note stuff, you will be able to do it. I don't know if you can, if you answer your question, but feel free to go to the next step.
Yes, it answers and it actually verifies what I was already thinking of it, that this should be the approach. And if I am allowed a technical one, a more technical one, so how about time management? What are the benefits in terms of time management by using this methodology?
Well, okay. Regarding time management, if you are talking about the release of the project, or you're talking about generally?
In the overall process, do you have some benefits in terms of time? And I mean, you should be able to deliver earlier than compared to the Waterfall methodology, let's say.
Yes, as we discussed before, it's not a matter of being better or worse. It's just a different way of organizing the workload and generally the project. If you ask me, what I like about Agile and Scrum is the fact that there are many standard meetings, as you saw, okay? There are standard meetings. We need to have the standard meetings, that's it. The dailies every day, 15 minutes. The sprint planning, 4 hours, for example, 2 hours. We decide all this. The sprint retrospective, 1 hour. You decide everything, and it's really based on time, right? It's really, there is a lot of timing, and the individuals and the people who work in the development team also have a sense of, I believe in my understanding, a better sense of time. It's not just about anymore, there is a deadline on 6th of August and we need to be done. It's now more about many standards, timelines throughout the sprints that helps you manage time better in my understanding, okay? Makes also the people better, okay? Instead of having a person or people above you saying, you need to do this in 2 hours, you need to do this in 5 days, the team is self-organized, following simple rules about their meetings, and they get better and they advance and they improve. That's how I feel about it. But this is my general, let's say, answer. To give you a more special answer towards what you asked, it's different. The delivery is just different. Okay, at the end of maybe you have a great product at the end of 4 sprints. Okay, and this is like, I don't know, in 16 weeks, right? And then with the waterfall method, maybe you have to wait for a specific amount of time. Maybe you need to wait for 30 weeks because you've decided beforehand how long it's, you know, part of the waterfall should take. So it really depends. But if you ask me, for software development, Scrum works great, and we're able to deliver in every 4 weeks a small increment, right? And I feel this is a nice improvement. But everything is great, and there is a reason why traditional is called traditional.
Okay, thank you. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, that's a great comment there. Can you share this presentation slides? Of course, just add me on LinkedIn or send me a message, or I can pass my email. Maybe I can write my email and write me an email, but feel free to talk to me anytime. Yes, additionally, micromanagement should be eliminated in order for Scrum to be more productive and result-oriented. Yes. So are you part of are you part of a Scrum team that there's micromanagement? Let's be super precise, okay? There cannot be micromanagement in Scrum, okay, officially talking now, right? There cannot be micromanagement in Scrum because the team is self-managed, right? This is what the Scrum Master is trying to achieve, and pay attention to that, not only to the team, but also to the department and also to the company. So if you hire a Scrum Master and your company is, let's say, Agile, it's the responsibility of the Scrum Master to make the team more agile, the department more agile, and the whole company more agile. So it's not normal to have a self-managed team, but everyone outside of the self-managed team is micromanaging everyone. Okay, micromanagement can happen, but if it's a Scrum team that has a Scrum Master and the team is getting better and better and better and better, it should be getting lower and lower and lower and lower. But it's a common problem, right? We all know that. But good comment, thanks. Any other question?
Can I ask you?
Yes.
Is it still Scrum if you don't do it in detail?
Oh my God.
Or Scrum is thing.
You see how advanced the teachers are here, the professors? Yes.
I mean, there were companies who were Agile before Agile came
out. Yes.
Okay, they were working in an Agile manner.
Yes.
They were working close to the customer, receiving feedback, doing improvement cycles.
Yes.
Okay, they were doing that already.
Yes.
And then Agile came along, and after Agile, the Agile Manifesto were methodologies like Scrum that put everything, put a structure on everything.
Yes.
Okay. And there's a lot of criticism against Agile and Scrum.
Mm-hmm.
There are many cases where it doesn't work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Although I have to admit that it is the gold standard for more than 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we write in our proposal. We promise we will implement our projects in an Agile way using Scrum.
Oh, that's super.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what we do. That's what we say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We kind of do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Do Scrum every day.
Yes.
That.
Yes.
But it's still Scrum if you don't do it
Yes.
100%.
Okay. So Good question, of course. You will see this 100 times, this question. Let's say officially, if you send an email, okay, that's my speculation. If you send an email to the Scrum website and ask, okay, I have a Scrum team in my company, but we don't do sprint plannings and we don't do sprint retrospectives because we think it's stupid. But are we Scrum or not? They will say, no, you're not Scrum. That's not a Scrum team. From my experience and from my research, I have the feeling that many companies don't do 100% Scrum. But what do we mean by that? Let's say, for example, the dailies, the Scrum guide says the daily should be 15 minutes maximum. Okay, they do 20 minutes because there are many people. Also, the Scrum guide says, I think they changed it now, but they say the Scrum team should be max 10 people. Okay, if it's 11, it's not Scrum officially, right? It can be 11. So in my taste, Scrum, the basis of Scrum, in my understanding, are the meetings. You need at least to have the meetings of Scrum. You need to at least have the dailies, at least have the planning, at least have the retrospective, and generally you need to have the meetings. If you have the meetings, most of it is done. You need to have a Scrum Master. You cannot be a Scrum team if you don't have a Scrum Master. You need to have a product owner. Or, okay, maybe you don't like to call him product owner, you want him to call another way, it's okay, but he needs to act like a product owner. If you ask me, I'm more relaxed. Even in our team, it's more relaxed. Okay, it's not like, oh, everything is fixed and, you know, it's not 100% Scrum that we do. And many companies do not do 100% Scrum. And as you can see, it's kind of new, right? It's like the last 20 or 30 years. And also, if you read the Scrum guide and get the certification, there are holes on purpose on the Scrum guide. There are some holes that are left on purpose and that you can interpret them the way you want. For example, I'm a Scrum Master and part of the development team. This is not mentioned anything in the Scrum guide. So you can say, okay, it's not mentioned, according to them, it's not mentioned, I can do it. But it's still Scrum. So I will just advise, it's something really important that happens a lot and you will see it a lot. Just learn the terminologies and be aware of the rough idea. And then you'll be fine, even if it's not 100% Scrum, you'll be fine. Any other question?
Any other questions? Yes. Anything else to ask or to make a comment or anything? Okay, should we round up then and conclude today's event? Thank you everybody for attending this meeting. If you still have any questions, as Orestis said, you can contact him on LinkedIn or you can ask for his email or anything.
Yeah, you'll find me.
If you are nice to him, he can play a song on his guitar for you. If you are mean to him, he will practice some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
So try to be nice.
Yes, be careful with your comments, okay?
Yeah. So thank you very much. Have a good night and see you on our next event.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.